I had a dream so big and loud. I jumped so high, I touched the clouds. Whoa, oh, 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 oh. I stretched my hands out to the sky. We danced with monsters through the night. Whoa, oh, 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 oh. I'm never gonna look back. Whoa, I'm never gonna give it up. No, please don't wake me now. This is gonna be the best day of my life. My life. This is gonna be the best day of my life. My I howled at the moon with friends, and then the sun came crashing in. Whoa, oh, 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 oh. But all the possibilities, no limits, just epiphanies. Whoa, oh, 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 oh. I'm never gonna look back. Whoa, I'm never gonna give it up. No, just don't wake me now. This is gonna be the best day of my life. My life. This is gonna be the best day of my life. My I hear it calling outside my window. I feel it in my soul. The stars were burning so bright. The sun was out till midnight. I say we lose control. This is gonna be the best day of my life. My life. This is gonna be the best day of my life. My life. This is gonna be, this is gonna be, this is gonna be the best day of my life. Everything is looking up, everybody up now. This is gonna be the best day of my life. My life. Had to have high hopes for a living, shooting for the stars when I couldn't make a killing. Didn't have a dime, but I always had a vision. Always had high hopes. Had to have high hopes for a living. Didn't know how, but I always had a feeling I was gonna be that one in a million. Always had high hopes. Mama said, fulfill the prophecy, be something great. Go make a legacy, manifest destiny. Back in the days, we wanted everything, wanted everything. Mama said, burn your biographies, rewrite your history, light up your wildest dreams, museum victories. Every day, we wanted everything, wanted everything. Mama said, don't give up, it's a little complicated. All tied up, no more love, and I'd hate to see you waiting. Had to have high hopes for a living, shooting for the stars when I couldn't make a killing. Didn't have a dime, but I always had a vision. Always had high hopes. Had to have high hopes for a living. Didn't know how, but I always had a feeling I was gonna be that one in a million. Always had high hopes. Mama said, something for oddities.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lily Banning, and I am the Community Impact Director here at the American Heart Association. I just want to welcome you all here this morning. And as we kick things off, just thank you for being here. We know this is a really important topic, both for the industry and our community at large. So thank you. We know that heart disease disproportionately impacts the construction industry, and that is exactly why the American Heart Association is so committed to our Hard Hats with Heart initiative. This campaign is focused on improving the health of the industry so that we can see an end to statistics like 1 in 25 craft workers have diabetes, or 1 in 4 are struggling with obesity, and 1 in 4 craft workers are diagnosed with high blood pressure. And before we get started, just a couple of housekeeping items, making sure that you all know this is webinar format. So even though we cannot see you, we still want to hear from you. Please feel free to drop questions, comments in the chat box, and make sure that you select that everyone from the drop-down menu. And let's just give it a shot, try it out. If you want to type into the chat, how many of you, is this your first Hard Hats training? Or maybe add the number of how many previous Hard Hats trainings you've joined so that we know who's here and who's in the room. Oh, great. A lot of firsts. Okay, welcome. We're grateful to have you here, and we will be sharing out more information about how you can get involved. And thank you, Stephen Danielson. We got some folks who have been to a few of them too, so it's nice to see you again. And some of our ambassadors. Great. I am thrilled to see you all there. And Susie, it's so nice to see you. Okay, well, we will get started. And as we kick off, we will start with a welcome from our sponsor of today's training, Mason Evans, who is President and CEO at J.H. Kelly, and Josh Atkinson, the Director of Field Operations, Labor Manager, and a Hard Hats with Heart Ambassador. And then you will hear from our Hard Hats with Heart Ambassador, Steve Frost, and our AHA volunteer, Joe Neely, on their experiences and their tips for addressing not just your physical safety, but also your mental well-being, followed by information on that connection between your mental health and your physical health. And I'm going to highlight some of the supports that exist for both you and your team to manage stress, anxiety, and depression, as well as some recommendations and guidance for what employers can be doing to support their employees on job sites and in the workplace, and just what resources exist for that overall management of well-being and improving one's heart health. So last but definitely not least, stick around for this because we will hear a word from the construction industry. We asked our Hard Hats with Heart ambassadors about what they are hearing in the industry, and then what their companies and unions are doing related to mental well-being. So that will be important. And first, I would just like to welcome our sponsor, Mason and Josh at J.H. Kelly.
Good morning. Thanks, Lily. My name is Mason Evans. I'm the president and CEO of J.H. Kelly, a fourth generation regional construction company with roughly 1,000 employees. I'm a member of the AHA's ELT and really want to thank the AHA for putting on this webinar on mental well-being for craft workers. It could not be more timely with what's going on in the world today. Safety and health are core values of our company and our workforce, and something really I feel passionate about. And I'm going to hand this off to Josh Atkinson, who oversees J.H. Kelly's field operations and craft development on for health and safety and professional development, and let him talk to this subject. So Josh, take it away.
Yeah, good morning, guys. I'm Josh. So really, I would just parrot what Mason said. Mental health, depression is something near and dear to our hearts. Like Lily was speaking about, heart health, mental health affects construction workers disproportionately to the norm as well. So it's something that's important to us. We talk about it and communicate it company-wide and within our own ranks. Make sure everybody understands, what access they have for help in regards to that as well. So it's It's important. It's good to be mindful of it, and we're proud to be a part of the conversation. I appreciate what you guys are doing. Now we're going to hear from our Hard Hats with Heart ambassadors and American Heart Association volunteers, Joe Neely and Steve Frost, on strategies for building resiliency to support your mental well-being and the mental health of your colleagues. Thank you.
I was busy working lots of hours and going to meetings or classes at night, and I was stressed out all the time. I began to get terrible sleep. I did not know what to do with those feelings or who to turn to for solutions. I have since realized that many people in the construction industry feel the same way. So let's address it.
Thanks, Joe. I'm Steve Frost, a volunteer with the American Heart Association, with 14 years of experience in the construction industry. In our industry, safety is always our top priority, but having to deal with tight schedules, long commutes to the job site, and long work days, we have to not only focus on our physical safety, but our mental well-being as well. Today, 1 in 3 Americans report being worried or depressed. Constant chronic stress can affect behaviors that raise the risk of heart disease and stroke. Chronic stress can lead to high blood pressure, physical inactivity, smoking, overeating, depression, and anxiety. That's why industry leaders are taking steps to improve mental well-being as part of our overall emphasis on health. What's being done? For one, the industry is increasing access to mental health resources and working to destigmatize managing our mental well-being in our day-to-day. We want to encourage people to seek care when they need it, and we want to provide tools that will help us increase our overall mental well-being. A key tool is to build resiliency in the face of stress and changing demands. Resiliency helps us withstand stressors and recover quicker. Resiliency has both physical and mental aspects that help us manage our emotions, guard against burnout, and remain productive. How do we do this? Here's our resiliency strategies. Maintain your social network and stay connected with family and friends. Practice positive self-talk and stay calm. Instead of saying everything is going wrong, remind yourself, I can handle this if I take it one step at a time. Exercise is one of the best ways to keep your body healthy and release stress. Regular physical activity gives you energy and helps you improve mood and quality of sleep. Incorporate self-awareness and mindfulness practices into your day. This can include simple meditation. Studies show that meditation can reduce blood pressure, improve the immune system, and improve sleep. Focus on the positives. Practicing gratitude or thankfulness can help reduce levels of depression, anxiety, and improve sleep. Try writing down 5 things that you're grateful for each day. Or just pause and think of one positive thing that happened during the day. This can have a big impact. All of us, including our leaders, must model these practices. Together, we'll help ourselves and our industry create better habits. One last bit of advice. Leave work at work. At the end of the day, give yourself a physical touch point where you can leave work behind. For some people, they play certain music on the radio or smack the door frame as they walk through their house. For me, it's taking my boots off. When the boots come off, I'm dad again. Thanks so much for watching, and remember, if stress feels unmanageable, there are resources to help.
Thank you so much, Mason and Josh, as well as Joe and Steve. The feedback is clear, and as everyday stressors continue to increase, we are making mental well-being our priority, and we're approaching that with a holistic and preventative lens. And so you'll see here, we know that mental well-being is the foundation to overall health, and that stress and anxiety and depression directly impact our heart and brain health, and if they go unmanaged, can be a risk factor for heart attack and stroke. And they're all connected. They influence our overall attitude, our productivity, our ability to move through the world, as well as our long-term health. And we're really hoping today to talk about how we can address those problems before they start, before they severely impact your heart health. And that is why AHA is focused here in that left section on prevention. we're focused on those triggers that can increase your risk for heart attack and stroke and other serious chronic illnesses. And we know that stigma and depression and substance abuse all directly impact one's mental well-being. So this diagram right here shows that continuum, and then it shows where we most intersect with other organizations that are supporting mental health. And the resources you'll hear about today, they're focused on the tools to manage your stress, to move your body, to make those meaningful changes, increase your awareness, and be able to ask questions so that things don't escalate into that farther right end of the spectrum. And you and your team will not find yourselves in crisis. But we know that some things in life are just unavoidable and feel unmanageable and bigger than us. And so if someone in your world or you yourself are having suicidal thoughts, are in crisis, it's important to refer to a professional. And please talk with your HR or wellness team to access the mental health services that you have, as well as understand what those benefits are. So before the pandemic started, a 2017 survey showed that 80% of people experienced at least one symptom of stress in the past month. 80%, and that was before the pandemic. So just think about how that has increased since the start of COVID-19. And everyone is feeling stress in different ways and reacts to it in different ways. Some people may turn to alcohol or cigarettes to manage that chronic stress. However, these habits we know have negative impacts on your heart and your brain. And with construction being the second highest industry for heavy drinking and drug usage, these are statistics that we know are triggering a lot of the long-term health effects. And with only 10% of people who have substance use disorders seeking actual treatment, this is a continued behavior that we're trying to help prevent. And we can first start with describing what actually happens when you have that high level of stress. And really, a stressful situation sets off a whole chain of events. Your body releases adrenaline, which is that hormone that causes your breathing to increase and your heart rate to speed up, as well as your blood pressure to rise. And these reactions can prepare you to deal with a situation that's heavy and stressful. It's that fight or flight response. But when your stress is constant and your body's remaining at that high gear, maybe for days or for weeks at a time, that's when your body just cannot stay up there. It cannot handle that. And so that long-term effect of stress is going to impact your mental health as well, because it's the prolonged exposure to those stress hormones. And we know that when you're experiencing those stress hormones for a long period of time, that can really put you at risk for heart disease and diabetes and obesity. So again, we just know that these habits and obstacles to health do exist, and they're increasing your risk factors, especially in the construction industry that has a challenging lifestyle, increased stress. Steve talked about those, the timelines, and Joe about his limited sleep and pain and chronic injury and financial pressures. These are often realities, and we want to be sure that you have access to the tools, and your organization and company has access to the tools to confront these challenges and prevent some of these long-term effects for yourself and your colleagues and your community. So we'll dive into what those tools are. Today, we are going to talk about your role and 2 ways that you and your organization can play an active part in addressing the mental well-being of your colleagues and your friends and family. And the number 1 way is to be that support system. You do not have to be an expert. You do not have to be a medical professional, but you can listen without judgment, without critique, and you can share specific questions that you can be asking to be that meaningful support system for someone who needs it. And the second is access these resources. When you feel like these issues are bigger than you, we have resources on hand, and keep them at your fingertips. We'll share out toolbox talks, videos, conversation guides, that will be included in this presentation as well as sent out afterwards. So when you think about the conversations that you may have had with colleagues or friends who are experiencing stress or depression, think about how quickly you are to try and find a solution. I know I am very guilty of it, and it's just the automatic. It's what we think of to do right away. We want to fix the problem instead of asking questions. And this is called the righting reflex. So when someone's working through the decision, you take one side of the argument that you think is the right way, and you insist on providing the solution to fix it or to fix them because you think that's what they're asking for and you know the answer. But we also all know what it feels like to receive advice that you don't want. And it often is, it's a deterrent. It's going to stop the conversation completely. And then you're leaving that person feeling isolated, stigmatized. The door is not open for continued conversation. And let's think about what could be the better response. And it's actually the easier response. It's in the construction industry, what I would think about as being the project manager. You're asking more questions, you're approaching them with an openness, you're not fixing the problem for them. And the best example that we think of is when somebody comes to you with a backache, for example. You wouldn't say right away, well, I just bend my knees and I don't have that problem. That's the right way to do it. You wouldn't just give them a solution. You may say, I've had back pain too. That can be really painful. What usually helps for you? What makes that go away? And immediately you're reducing that stigma. And so there's no difference between this backache example and somebody who's coming to you who's dealing with anxiety or depression. You're trying to encourage the person to believe in themselves and talk themselves through the change, not giving them the solution. So here are those questions. When we talk about listening, these are the open-ended questions that you can use to get people to continue to share and keep the conversation going. And that's opening the door for you to provide even more resources. And we know that everyone is managing stress differently right now. So these tools have never been more critical. And hopefully these questions can be used on the job site, in your home, in your community, and we will definitely be including them in the email that we'll send out following this training. But it's as simple sometimes as starting with, how are you feeling? But you reply, that sounds really challenging. No wonder you're feeling stressed. Tell me more about that. Help me understand that. Or when you're feeling this way, what usually helps? You're trying to get them to continue the conversation. So this showing empathy. Like, that sounds like you're going through a lot. What do you think would be most helpful to focus on? That's making that problem feel a little more manageable, or asking them what they've tried before. And last but definitely not least, what's something I can do? Showing them that you're there. Back to that point of keeping connected with your network. You are showing that you're part of that support system. So has anyone, feel free to put in the chat if anyone has seen these questions before or used these questions before. I'd just be curious to hear. But these are questions that you can keep in your back pocket when you're talking to a team member, but also just at home or with your friends. Oh, I'm glad to see that somebody, great. Thank you. All right, and that second part of these tools, in addition to open-ended questions, the American Heart Association has created a resource hub that will house all of our materials. And, oh, and I'm really glad to hear that the conversation questions open up that dialogue. And these resources are open and free to all. They include specific industry resources like these conversation guides, posters, the video that you've seen today, on tobacco and alcohol control, mental well-being, managing anxiety, chronic disease, and honestly, how they all intersect. And the materials, they can provide answers around depression and heart health, how to stay heart healthy when you're not feeling well, and redefining failure, which is a topic that I think is especially interesting for the construction industry. The short videos that we have feature local GCs, union members, our ambassadors, just like the one you saw today, and they can be used in your safety huddles or in your apprenticeship courses, in employee newsletters, as well as just conversations that you're having. And they are equipping you with those tools to prevent the crisis. That active listening questions, supportive questioning, and really avoiding the need to be right. These are some of those key strategies and skills to support anyone who's going through a stressful time. And feel free to share in the chat if you've used any of these resources, if you found one in particular beneficial, a conversation guide, a toolbox talk. And as you are sharing out, we will now hear a word from our Hard Hats with Heart ambassadors, who are going to share what they're hearing in the construction industry about mental well-being and the work that they are leading in their companies to support employees and their families.
Here at Oregon Tradeswomen, we talk to trades workers in the field every day who are in need of support for mental health services. For those of you who might not know, the construction industry has almost twice the rate of others in suicides.
One thing I'm hearing from a lot of employees right now is that they're feeling the effects of COVID fatigue. Their mental health is really impacted by the pandemic, being isolated, working from home, just stress that comes with all of those different factors.
I don't think we're alone in the fact that a lot of our employees and their families are struggling. A lot of people are seeing their first instance of a mental health decline or battle with a mental health issue, mental well-being decline. And I think because it's something new to a lot of people, they're not quite sure really what's happening in the first place. As most of us know, some signs of mental health decline involve a lot of physical symptoms. And so people think it's a physical health decline when really it's an absence of mental health. So we're seeing employees that are recognizing for the first time just how important mental well-being is and how important it is to take care of ourselves.
This pandemic has introduced new challenges for our organization and many others across the country. We have experienced more blurriness between the external factors that an employee encounters outside of work and with the work environment.
One thing that we know is that mental health care providers are in high demand right now everywhere, and a lot of our employees are echoing that fact that it's hard to make an appointment with someone. And when they do find a provider, it's several weeks out.
Something that we're doing that really helps the employees is just being available to them. So that's making time to do informed check-ins with them, to see how they're doing, see what they need to be supported, see what they need to be successful at work and at home, and making sure that they feel heard. In addition to that, we're not mental health therapists by trade. So we provide them access to our EAP, Employee Assistance Program. What that does is it gives them the ability to call a licensed mental health therapist at any time confidentially and talk through some of the very real stresses that they're feeling right now.
We expanded our network of providers in such that we basically eliminated the network so that anyone who is a provider they want to see is automatically accepted by our healthcare plans. They don't have to worry about finding a particular person that's in our healthcare network. And then additionally, we increased our EAP visits. So EAP is free counseling sessions for our members. It's 8 free visits now per instance. And that's a great way to have a short-term bridge if it's a temporary issue, or if the situation, like I mentioned before, where a provider is booked out too far, this will help bridge that gap and allow them to get some sort of relief and care in that interim time period.
A year ago, we got all of our staff trained in QPR. And then in the second quarter of this year, we trained close to 1,000 apprentices in QPR, and we got some amazing feedback from them having the ability now to feel like they can support their coworkers and their family, when it comes to being able to kind of head off a mental health crisis. And moving forward, onboarding for all of our apprentices, as well as running classes for our members and obviously our staff. We're going to continue our work with the QPR training.
So we have been having conversations about improving peer-to-peer dialogue to let employees be known of the different services that we offer to help them get the assistance that they need to overcome these mental health challenges.
Is education around suicide prevention and mental health crisis.
I think for next steps for all of us is just continuing to be engaged, listening, and be prepared to have tough conversations with employees when they're going through it and they're feeling the stresses of this pandemic.
A huge thank you to our Hard Hats with Heart ambassadors that were featured there. And we have officially concluded our 2021 industry training series. And before we end, we want to hear from you, whether you attended one or all of them. We hope that you walked away with tangible steps that you and your company can take to improve the environment, to promote that culture of health. And we want to celebrate your progress. We want to hear about that, the successes that you've had. So we have given you this time right now because we want your feedback. Please click on this link in the survey and take these final minutes. It's a quick questionnaire. It takes 5 minutes and you'll be entered to win a Starbucks gift card. And thank you. Thank you for your leadership, for your support of this work over the past year. Your insight has really allowed us to create these meaningful series, this meaningful series of industry trainings that have reached construction professionals with vital education. And stay tuned for more information on our 2022 series coming up next year. And we definitely will be sharing out the link to this recording in the email following so everyone can access. And again, we appreciate you. Please stay well and thank you so much.
Listen, baby.